What's up, my witches? Welcome back to my channel. I am the City Witch, and today we're going to be reviewing The Red Mother, written by Marshall W.S.L. You may recognise Marshall from their first book called Cunning Words. Marshall is also known as the Witch of Southern Light on social media, and I have provided the links to their social media accounts in the description box of the video, so please go ahead and give them a like and follow, show them some love and support for this beautiful, stunning piece of art that we have been gifted. So The Red Mother is Marshall's second book. It's a continuation from Cunning Words. So if you haven't yet read Cunning Words, I highly recommend that you go and get your hands on a copy of that book first. Now, fair warning, don't make the same mistake that I did. With the first book, Cunning Words, both copies, the paperback and the hardback, were full colour. However, with the second book, the paperback is just black and white and the hardback is the full colour version. So naturally, I bought the paperback because it's the same size as the first book paperback, and I wanted them to match and sit on my shelf together, not realising that this book is not the full colour version. So I was utterly devastated because Marshall's artwork is absolutely beautiful, and I really didn't want to miss out on all its magical glory. So I have recently purchased a hardback copy of this book, and I've yet to receive it, but it is on its way. So my plan is to keep the hardback in all its beautiful glory and read it whenever it takes my fancy. And this version, I'm going to use it as a working grimoire, which means I'm going to write in it. Please no one come for me when I say that. I know a lot of people don't like writing in books, but sometimes I encounter a book that I know immediately I'm never going to part with it, that I adore it enough that it's going to stay in my collection forever. So I personally don't have a problem with writing in a book that I plan to keep. So my plan is to write in this, to draw sigils, adapt some of the spells, or add to them with my own style of witchcraft. So I am going to use this as a working grimoire and make it my own and put my blood, sweat and tears into it. And the hardback version will be kept as a lovely, pristine copy. So there you go, guys. So please, if you want the full colour version, make sure you buy the hardback version of this book. It is worth every penny. Now, as always with my book reviews, I am going to score the book from 1 to 10 at the end. I am going to give you a full walkthrough of the book and show you the beautiful artwork and many of the spells and rituals contained within. I'm going to talk you through the contents so you know what is contained within this book, and I will let you know any positives or negatives that I personally noticed. With that being said, let's begin. We're going to start with reading the back of the book because it will really set the tone for what this is about. The Red Mother is the second volume in the Cunning Words collection and an exploration of the witch's journey. Through tale and rhyme, learn the craft of weaving charms, enchantments and spirit work. Read of pacts made at the crossroads, knots of power tied, twisted wishes and death-defying miracles. Let the Red Mother guide you. Her tale, her spirit, her odyssey is written within for the most cunning to discern and adapt. This volume continues the Cunning Words grimoire tradition of teaching the craft through narrative as well as a manual of rites. The practical magic and unique catalogue of spirits within is inspired by the folkloric witch and historic compendiums of spirit conjuration. So with Marshall's very first book, Cunning Words, we are introduced to a variety of different spirits and characters. Now, the Red Mother is one of those characters contained in Cunning Words. So I do highly recommend that you read that book first, just because it introduces you to her as well as various other characters that do make a guest appearance in this book. So it's definitely worth reading that one first. It will also introduce you to Marshall's writing style. How the book is laid out is very similar to this. So it's kind of gonna teach you in rhyme, poetry and story format. So if you enjoy book one, you will definitely enjoy this one. But reading book one will definitely show you these spirits and these characters. It will open you up to folk magic and will allow you to dip your toes into folk practices and using what you have to hand. So it's a great book for that, and I highly recommend it. So this book is all about the Red Mother. And as I said, the Red Mother is one of the characters you meet in Cunning Words. And then some of the other characters are introduced to you in this book and make guest appearances. And then there are some brand new spirits that we meet as well contained in this book. So if you are new to spirit work, this might be slightly advanced. It's not an advanced book per se. It's definitely beginner friendly, but I personally don't believe that a true novice or beginner that's just on their journey should be working with spirits yet. I kind of feel spirit work is for when you're a little bit more stable in your craft and practice, you know how to protect yourself, and you've got all the basics under your belt. So my advice is start with Cunning Words, build up to this one, and build up to spirit work, and allow these books to introduce you to working with spirits as well, and see how you feel about working with spirits, because they're great for that. As you can see, we get beautiful artwork in this book, and we get this lovely introduction to the Red Mother, and I'm going to read it out because this is one of my favourites and I just have to read it out. Old Mother Redcap is a very cunning witch. She twists her red thread full of spells in each stitch. She weaves her magic through time and space. She finds those who need her in their most desperate place. She'll make you a charm or tie you a knot. Sometimes she'll trade you for what you have brought. She's clever and witty and altogether most queer. You'll hear her song when she's quite near. The Red Mother is kind to those most deserving, but to those who are not, she is most unnerving. She has lessons to teach and stories to tell, so gather round, dearies, and listen up well. The magic she shares in this scarlet collection is for the most cunning with deep introspection, so pay close attention, read between the lines. She'll teach you the craft, she'll show you the signs. So close your eyes tight and enter the gloam. Let the Red Witch take you into her tome. Oh, gives me chills and goosebumps every time I read it. Love it. So we of course have our content warning. So use discernment, logic and reason when you are going through the book, and obviously anything you choose to do is your own legal responsibility. So we have our table of contents, and we start with absence, existence, desire and physicality. And then the book is divided into 3 sections. So section 1, Ballads of the Red Mother, a collection of tales and rhymes. So we have our prologue, Spirit Contracts, part 2. The Old Ones, First Conjuration, Apotrope. I think I'm saying that right, but I could be saying it wrong. Red Spirits, the Summoning of Red Fire, The Witch and the Madame, Enstarment, The Robin and the Snake, The Sixth Conjuration in Spirit Eye, Spirit House and Amulet of Power, What You Wish For, Enchanted Objects, The Witch's Cord, Red Inscriptions, The Second Conjuration Sana, What is a Cauldron, The Midwife, The 10th Conjuration, Ira, Black Glass, A Cross of Pine, A Pilgrimage, A Charm of Deserving, Weaving a Prophecy, Sabbatic, Everything You Desire, A Red Inscription Story, Love Thyself, and the epilogue, Our Mother in Red. And then the part 2 of this book is called The Red Book, Scarlet Spells and Crimson Curses. So everything in the first part of the book is stories about the Red Mother. You're introduced to what she does with her spells, her magic, and how she learns and grows and adapts. And then we get her actual spells here, written out in a spell format for you to actually practice yourself. So we start with opening invocation for magical rites and then a closing rite. And then we dive into the spells. Crossroads Earth, Red Spirits to summon red fire, a charm of ensnarement, a spirit house crafting an amulet of power and potency, to wish upon a bay leaf, enchanting an object, weaving a witch's cord, the 9 knots of fate, the witch's black glass, a cross of pine, memory obliteration, a charm for the deserving, a charm of self-love, red inscriptions, the arte, the celestial virtues of the 7 holy siblings. I love the 7 siblings. We are introduced to the 7 holy siblings in Marshall's first book, Cunning Words, and this kind of continues that information, and those have been spirits that have been deeply connected to my heart, and I've thoroughly enjoyed working with them, and I have worked with them nearly every day of the week since I purchased Marshall's first book. So the Holy Siblings, oh, love them. Then we go on to the Red Week, 7 nights of celestial transvection, weaving a prophecy of the celestial currents. And then part 3 of the book, 13 conjurations, a compendium of spirits. So you are introduced to new spirits in this book, as I said. This is the list of all of those spirits and how you can work with them and what they stand for. And I believe there's actually sigils as well for them, but I'll check that out as we go through the book. So, the bestowal, a craft in spirit conjuration on the nature of spirit creation, the conjuring rite, and the 13 spirit collective. So I'm going to try and pronounce all of these, but please no one come for me if I say them wrong. So the first spirit, apotrope, Sana, Morbius, Amare, Atrophia, Inspirate, Fortuna, Inopia, Malleus, Ira, Sophia, Aquitus, Fortius. I think that's how you pronounce them all, but I could be, like I said, slightly pronouncing them wrong. I'm not very good with pronunciations, so my apologies. And then we end with a bibliography and deliver it they did, which is kind of like closing words on the book. So let's dive in. We have dedications and acknowledgements, and then we get our introduction. I love the little doodle of the toad. I think it's cute. And then the book is filled with stunning artwork, like I said. So I'm going to kind of give you a quick flip through, show you some of the art. Now, one of the ways that I have personally used the artwork in this book is I have screenshotted them, printed them off. I've wrote petitions across them and burned them in the very ritual that's contained in this book. I have placed a tea light in the center of this and crystals at points here. I have dripped my own blood onto them and done them as blood offerings. I have sealed them up as spirit packs, and I have also meditated and used them in visualizations, and I've used them in trance work. I mean, look at that. You could easily follow these in a trance-like way, which is something I've done, to go deep within or to unlock gates within your very self. So the artwork, I think, is truly inspirational and is a piece of magic in itself. So we are introduced to the man in black at the crossroads, obviously known as the Witch Father, Witch's Devil. There are various different doodles of spirits in this book. There we go. So in the colour version, obviously her cloak would be a beautiful ruby red. So you could, if you're someone who really likes to colour and draw and doodle, you could colour these in if you wanted. Or buy the hardback version where it's a full colour copy anyway. There we go. I love the sigils that we have as well. So all these sigils and seals you can use in your practice. Marshall encourages you to adapt and make changes to the spells and rituals to suit your needs, and to get creative as well. So don't feel like you have to do them exactly as they are in this book. However, I usually like to do that and see what results I get, and then adapt them and see what results I get the second time around. And the reason I do that is because I like to see if I get a better result doing it as it's written, in which case I've discovered something new about myself? Or is it better I do it my own way? And do I get better results or worse results? So I'm kind of a bit of an experimenter when it comes to my craft and practice. So here you can see this symbol on the side of the book. This is actually Marshall's magical alphabet, and the cunning witch will decipher this to know what it says. And I actually did that, and I'm not going to tell you what it says. I actually think you can decipher it for yourself, and that's part of the fun. So this is Marshall's magical alphabet that they created, and you can use it to design these beautiful symbols and use magical writing in your petitions, your enchantments, in mojo bags, whatever you feel. I love the artwork. I could stare at the artwork all day. So this is one of the symbols contained in this book. So when the triangles pointed up, it's kind of to conjure, to call, to summon, to bring in. When it's reversed, it's kind of like more of a darker aspect to it for cursing and malediction and baneful workings, and also to send out, so banishings. So we have obviously a black mirror, how to enchant it, the cross of pine. So this is kind of like the pilgrimage that the Red Mother takes and makes in this book. And this kind of shows you how far she travelled. Weaving a prophecy. Meeting other witches at the Witches' Sabbath. And here we have some spells. So we have here Crossroads Earth, and we have to summon red fire. I actually made this concoction, and I actually wasn't far off making this already, because I actually work a lot with dragon's blood, which is one of the main ingredients, and I've actually been playing around with alcohols to make sacred fire. And I actually recently made Greek fire and then dragon fire. So this is actually so close to the dragon fire recipe that I made for my draconic practice. So yeah, so you will be working with alcohols, fire, so please obviously be careful. But there's obviously recipes, there's mojo bags, there's the bay leaf wish. So here it says, spirit of laurel, leaf of bay, spark and sizzle as I say, such cunning words my wish do grant, by Loris nobilis this charm enchant. And then we have the witch's cord, and then we have the 9 knots. So number 1, the knot of opening. Number 2, the knot of summoning. Number 3, the knot of gloam. Number 4, the knot of spinning. Number 5, the knot of desire. Number 6, the knot of weaving. 7, the knot of contingency. 8, the knot of alignment. And 9, the knot of fate. And then we have enchanting a black mirror and working with it, memory obliteration, a charm of deserving, and one of self-love. And then we have Marshall's beautiful new magical alphabet for red inscriptions. So this is so that you can write out magical words, statements and petitions, and no one will know what it says, which is, you know, clever. There are some examples on how to do it, and you get 2 examples in the book. And then we go into the celestial virtues of the 7 Holy Spirits, which, like I said, I love the 7 Holy Spirits. So here we're working with their energies. And then we've got the Red Week, 7 Nights of Celestial Transvection. So I haven't actually done this yet, which is why it's marked out, but I am planning to do this. I just wanted to film this book review first. Weaving a Prophecy on Celestial Currents and how to do that. The Bestowal, the Craft in Spirit Conjure. The Conjuring Rite. So like I said, here we get the benefits and then the malefic when you reverse it. And then here we are working with the different spirits. So these are all their sigils. So there's quite a few spirits for you to choose and work with. So this one, for example, Fortis, the Spirit of Courage. So it's telling you what the spirit is of, and then obviously the invocation and how you work with that spirit is completely up to you. And then we get our ending poem. And then that is it. So that is the full book, guys. So, positives. First of all, Marshall is truly an inspiration. The Red Mother is all about teaching you witchcraft through storytelling. It contains hidden secrets and knowledge for the crafty witch to discover, and is full of magical rites to explore. With many twists and turns, this book will keep you entertained for hours, while at the same time teaching you valuable lessons in spirit contracts, conjurations, and much, much more. This book is an amazing continuation from Marshall's first book, which first introduces you to the 3 mothers, one of them being the Red Mother. I highly advise that you read the first book first, as I've previously mentioned, and the reason for that is just so that you understand a bit about this spirit and other spirits that are mentioned and make guest appearances in this book. And also it shows your love and support of Marshall, and if you read them in order, they kind of make a little bit more sense as well. Marshall draws inspiration from folklore, so this book very much is rooted in folklore and follows those sorts of practices, using things you have to hand and average things from around the house, so it's not too complicated. You don't require a ridiculous amount of items to work the magic in this book, and it's very easy for you to adapt the spells as well. The book introduces you to many spirits, and through folklore and inspiration, Marshall creates new spirits and shows you those spirits and their natures through storytelling and poetry. This book is filled with spells, rituals, and sigils for magical use. Each one can be performed as is or easily adapted, making this a great book for a beginner to intermediate witch, but probably not the right book for a complete novice. Marshall provides us with a new magical alphabet, which is one of my favourite things in this book. It uniquely is crafted and created for this book and to work with the spirits and spells contained within. And there are many clues on how you can create your own magical alphabet if you so choose, which is also one of my favourite points about this book. Another favourite part of this book for me was the stunning artwork. The artwork for me was truly an inspiration. I am always captivated by the unique designs and inspired by them during meditations and trance work. So use everything that's in this book, guys. Don't feel like you've just used the spells, you read it once and you're done with it. Really get into the stories and the themes. Look at the artwork and figure out how you can use that. You know, with red fire, you could like burn that and send it like a phoenix out into the world to make change and transformation. There was a particular image at the front that one I've used quite a bit by placing a tea light right there. I've charged crystals for the different directions. I have placed different magical objects that I'm going to bind up into a mojo bag. I have printed this and made it the same size as my mojo and gathered it up, writing on it, dripping blood, wax and all sorts of things, and turning it into a spirit pact. So there's a lot you can do with the imagery in the book. Now, I personally really enjoyed this book, and I'm going to say straight away, I did not find any negatives with this book. In my humble opinion, it is a work of art and a masterpiece, and just like Marshall's first book, I thoroughly enjoyed it from cover to cover. The Red Mother is about teaching you the craft of the old ways, giving new life to recipes and magical mixtures and tinctures, as well as showing you how to write spells, create incantations, work with spirits, and employ them to help you in your practice. The Red Mother will provide ugly truths and dispel pretty little lies, all the while teaching you about the old ways, and her lessons are not easy, but are worth learning nonetheless. So if you're prepared to dive into this book, you won't be disappointed. As I've already pointed out though, the full colour version is the hardback copy, not the paperback. So don't make my mistake. And even with making that mistake, I will say, for me, it was sort of a happy little mistake in the end, because this is going to become a working book and I'm going to turn it into a personal grimoire that I write in and add to and design spells based around these as foundational points. So it wasn't a loss in the end for me, and I was never going to part with this book anyway, but I can't wait to get my hands on the hardback copy because of the beautiful, colourful images that have truly inspired me in my craft and practice. So, no negatives, a lot of positives, and the book for me is absolutely a 10 out of 10. So I really hope that you enjoy it as much as I have, and I look forward to hearing your comments and thoughts on the book and what your impressions are of Marshall's first book and the second book. And did you feel like it was a brilliant continuation? Did you feel like there was anything lacking or missing? Let's open up the platform to have a conversation about this book. Thank you so much for watching and supporting me. I do appreciate it. If you did like my video, please give me that thumbs up and click the bell, and YouTube will tell you when my next video comes out. If you'd like to offer like, love and support to my channel, you can do that through my Amazon wishlist or with my PayPal link. And thank you so much to anybody out there who chooses to support me and send me any small gifts or a small tip. I do appreciate it. And if you'd like to book any of my magical services or get in touch with me, you can do that via the links provided for Facebook, Instagram, X, Tumblr and email. Thank you so much guys, much light and love to you all, and I will see you in my next book review. Blessed be.